up next, SalesLoft is going to be presenting on Agentic revenue execution, and Lily Austin, head of GTM innovation, is here with us. Lily, hi.
Hi.
How are you
Thanks for joining
doing?
us. I'm doing so great. I'm really excited to be here. It was exciting to catch the end of Patrick's session. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can complement and also maybe challenge on. I love the fact that we've got executives from manufacturing in the audience, and I think there's a couple of really interesting use cases we can talk about creating some agentic workflows that create utilization of your ERP data, which might otherwise be trapped right now.
Can't wait to get into it.
Let's go. All right. We good to dive in?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Well, let's start with a stat because before I redefine for you what a playbook shift is for revenue orchestration, let's anchor to a why. According to Gartner, if your sellers start to use and adapt AI, including some of these agentic workflows, it's really good for you as a sales leader and executive because it makes them 4 times more likely, just about, to hit their quota. And so I always like to start presentations back with this fact because when we're in sales, we have this compounding, beautiful benefit, which is if our sellers are more successful, we will be more successful as leaders and our organizations can grow. The reality of today's sales teams, no matter what industry you are leading in, is that they have been hobbled by what we call the age of the smarter silo. Tech abounds, but still things are really disconnected. And so reps are spending time swivel chairing between CRMs and ERPs. We've got buying signals all over the place, and your revenue teams are still struggling to collaborate and share information efficiently or effectively. And so the net of the last 5 or 10 years of sales technology is just bigger tech stacks. And they promised so much, but mostly what they've offered us is noise and complexity. And the result of that, among this really turbulent macroeconomic climate and higher interest rates, are that we're sometimes feeling like we want to adjust our growth targets down, and that we're all recognizing, and Gartner and McKinsey are reaffirming this, that sales cycles are taking longer. And that is why revenue orchestration and SalesLoft more specifically exists, right? These platforms act as a system of action that help organize and orchestrate data, third-party data, first-party data, buying signals, information that is in your ERPs, in your CRMs. And the concept of this category, it's what it's what analysts are calling revenue orchestration, or you might start to hear it called revenue action orchestration. But really what it's meant to do is organize and orchestrate how your sellers, no matter what industry you're in, how they go to market. And I'd like to open with this just as a preamble and sort of a foundation, because this is the basis upon which we have deployed 19 agents and a whole host of AI, including close to 20 patents. Most revenue orchestration, and it's been around for about 15 years, right? It started with just workflow and automation, streamlined processes, if this, then that, basic business rules. But in a world of agents, we've really had to think critically about how we can differentiate using our heritage as a competitive advantage. And our approach to building agents is really simple. We have worked with some of the biggest and largest go-to-market teams around the world. We've got over 5,000 customers, and we inspect, especially through our value engineering practice, what current state is. And this allows us to identify the top challenges and pain points that exist no matter what tech you have or do not have. And what we did was we then created and deployed agents that pattern match some of the problems or bottlenecks that exist in sales processes today. Our agents are built on a foundation of skills. So things like analyzing data, writing emails, summarizing. I'm going to show you some of this today. And upon that, we have built agentic capabilities where we are able to analyze and combine those skills together to help make sure that we are providing an advisory capacity to your teams. We're going to talk a little bit about human in the loop here and where we have governance and sort of checkpoints where your team can still be in the driver's seat while getting all the benefits of time savings. Because still, even in this world of AI and agents, we are a revenue orchestration platform that allows you to crawl, walk, or run at your own speed. Many of our customers, especially those in manufacturing or medical device sales, for example, really are looking for process codification with a partner who can help them step into agentic workflows slowly while not sacrificing some of the immediate benefits on just implementing a codified workplace. But then we have other customers who are really ready for all the bells and whistles. But regardless, let's get into it and let's talk about some of how our 19 live agents can help you build pipeline, expedite those deals, and grow and retain your customers. The first agent that we have is our account prioritization agent. And we like to start here because everyone has a story of either yourself when you were carrying a bag or one of your sellers or teams spending time on the wrong account. With our breadth and depth of signals, first party and third party, in real time, we are helping your team focus on the highest priority account, those which are showing the highest buyer intent signals from across your web, including your web properties. So while you see OmniStrat on the top of the pack here, our agent will help reprioritize maybe Health Plus, such that as we continue to work and deploy some of those agents on OmniStrat, when we revisit this team, we might have a reprioritized secondary or tertiary account to go target. We really want to start our workflow by getting reps tapped in to the right accounts so that they're not wasting time. Once they are in those right accounts, we want to help bring real-time research with our research agent into the same platform that we want our reps to be working in all the time. Our research agent brings in firmographic data from around the web with CRM data. This includes suggested sales angles that take into account external factors. For example, if you're targeting publicly traded company, maybe key themes from the last earnings call. But it marries those with your CRM data to help prescribe and advise on how you might reapproach this customer if, say, you have had 5 closed lost opportunities with them over the last decade. We are seeing this agent alone provide a 70% reduction in time spent researching accounts. And really what this helps you do, especially if you have teams that are going after chunky, multi-year strategic or enterprise accounts, it helps you arrive at a crisp and rapid point of view, which is executive grade. But those points of view, they're only as good as the person who receives them and can see themselves and their own pains or priorities in that messaging. We have a buyer identification agent, which helps surface exactly who from your CRM or your revenue orchestration platform might be best suited to receive that message. And importantly, this buyer identification agent also helps illuminate the power of our 180 and growing partner ecosystem, including ZoomInfo. So in this GIF here, what you're seeing is ZoomInfo is suggesting net new stakeholders or decision makers, which do not exist in SalesLoft and also don't exist in your CRM. So as you think about people moving and changing and buying cycles sort of having some attributes of squishiness, there might be new people at these organizations in this world of change that are perfect to receive this message. They might have come in as a change agent and they might need exactly what you've got. So as we think about building pipeline, right, we've helped sellers in one platform without you having to build any agents at all because these are pre-built, focus on the right account, generate a crisp point of view, and know who to target. And that begs the question of, how do we make sure we're wrapping this point of view in the right message? And that's where our email agent comes into play. It is crafting perfect context-aware contextual messaging for each of your personas. And what I really love about this is that your seller's tone is in the driver's seat. Some tools out there are just deploying agentic prospecting workflows for you. And we find that some of our customers, especially those that are newer to agentic or AI and are slightly less mature in their technology adoption curve, that represents a big, scary risk for them, right? Brand voice, customer experience, these are penultimate differentiators in a market that is wrought with so much uncertainty. And so what we really want to do is make sure that your sellers, those that you have in seat, that you have trained and enabled and invested a whole lot of time onboarding, that they get the last say in delivering a message that sounds like them with all of the benefits of some of the agentic and AI capabilities that we have. The agentic capabilities, they don't just stop at a one-off email, right? Our foundation is in process codification. It is in what we used to call sales engagement. Now we call revenue orchestration. So at the core of our platform, we have what we call cadences. They are just structured go-to-market plays. And by the end of the year, every single one of a cadence touch points, meaning multi-channel and multi-touch across call strips, social media touch points, even suggested SMS touch points, they're going to be generated by AI. What this means for you as leaders is that your go-to-market can still have foundational and structured containers in which, for example, you are streamlining outbound versus inbound versus renewals plays or expansion opportunities. But within that cadence, each of your personas and buyers will have content that is specific to them, creating within a cadence simultaneously account-based workflows and persona or person-based workflows. This creates a really bespoke customer experience without having to waste a disproportionate amount of time. The result of all of this embedded AI and agents into the seller's workflow, it's helping companies like 6sense 2x their pipeline in just 4 months. It saves you time, it increases your sales team's capacity, and it's in one single platform. We've been at this for nearly 15 years. These agents are purpose-built for how you make money, retain money, and serve your customers. You don't need any agentic development hours set aside or earmarked or vibe coding required. Now that we've built some pipeline, let's talk about how agents can help us collaborate better to accelerate deals. And I think this is especially pertinent for leaders on the call. One capability that we've just launched is our Ask SalesLoft agent. And what I love about this for executives, it allows you, in tandem with the research agent, to quickly come up to speed ahead of critical executive meetings. So you've got a whole account team that is working to get you tied up with your peer at a key target account. This can help you get up to speed really quickly by asking key questions in a conversational agentic capacity. Of course, reps love this too. And once you and your selling team are in that meeting, our conversations agent offers that same real-time interaction, which allows everyone to be prepared to manage maybe unexpected objections and handle them, or address competitive lines of questioning as they come up with ease. And this feature specifically is coming in the next year, just as a caveat. But what is live today, in the spirit of working opportunities from those live meetings, is MEDPIC extraction. So the recording conversations that your team is having from those transcripts, we are helping to populate your qualification methodology from your revenue orchestration platform and automatically update, not only in our platform, but in your CRM. This reduces time and reduces some of the subjectivity that goes into your MEDPIC process. If any of you here have ever experienced MEDPIC turning into a box checking exercise or sort of like lazy field editing just so that the CRM logic says, if not null, go ahead and pass into the next deal stage, this is really helpful in not only populating one time, but continuously enriching how we think about using MEDPIC as a framework to create more pipeline fidelity. And all of this, so everything that we did in the building pipeline, all of our implicit and explicit activity capture, all of those summaries that exist from the activity that we're capturing, your CRM data, your ERP data, it feeds into rather our deal summary agent. And this is especially helpful for front and second line managers who might not be able to spend as much intimate time in those deals if they have a large team, or if you're running more of a transactional deal cycle. I also find, as somebody who spent years of my career in overlay roles, that this is really helpful for sales engineers, solutions consultants, services teams, and anyone really that needs to parachute into a deal for just a smaller portion of it, but needs all the context in a way that's purpose-built for them. And all of these deals, insights, and interactions, they surface back and help reprioritize with our patented Conductor AI into the Rhythm workflow that you're seeing here. Rhythm is an end-all be-all task list for your sellers, One of the things that we love about Rhythm, if we have any RevOps leaders on here, is that we have no code or low code solutions that allow you to pipe in any signal from your tech stack into the workflow for your sellers and then reprioritize those with our AI, which is optimized towards deal stage progression, cycle length reduction, and win rates. So for those of you in manufacturing, think about how a signal from your ERP, maybe a machine that is sending off signals that it needs service, you could turn that signal into an upsell or an opportunity to re-engage, replace that equipment, get on site, have a more productive conversation, and move your team into a proactive positioning using all of this organized and orchestrated and AI optimized data all in one platform. And speaking of manufacturing, which I didn't even intend to do this, but that's a great talk track. This has helped. Our platform has really helped 3M reduce their cycle time by nearly 3 times. And one quick analog here, just speaking of 3M, is that 3M had a problem with it taking 200 days to close lost an opportunity, but 100 days to close won an opportunity. So as we think about building pipeline and moving deals too, there is a whole host of opportunity for us to really inspect and disqualify early deals in our pipeline that are showing signs of really poor health, that have implicit data points that suggest this isn't something that's going to bear out in the long term. So I would challenge everyone today to really think through, yes, how can we open more opportunities, close them more often, retain and grow our customer base? But what are the unconsidered opportunities for AI and agents? Maybe in a platform like this, maybe something you want to build or vibe code on the side to help disqualify what is in our pipeline that should no longer be there. I know we spend a lot of time talking about that in my role. So closing out here, we have shown some of our capabilities in our platform to use agents and AI on top of a revenue orchestration platform to build pipeline, to progress deals faster. And now we're at the point where we start talking about how do we use AI and agents in a singular platform to drive retention and growth. And what you're seeing on my screen here is agentic conversational marketing. So about a year and a half ago, we acquired a company called Drift. When you think about Drift, if you're a marketer on the line, you think about just basic web chat. But Drift has really evolved as SalesLoft has. Drift now has agentic capabilities where you can use RAG models to upload a bunch of content, train those models towards select outcomes. And this is providing a really rapid time to deployment and much greater value for your customers. And we've got a whole host of ROI reporting. It's really exciting. But what I love about Drift, and I don't think it gets talked about enough, especially in a world where we're trying to break down silos between sales and marketing, is that conversational marketing and chat like this helps to de-anonymize your website visitors. And that's really important when we think about retention and growth. In this GIF that's kind of moving quickly here, you have a person who's on your website. The chat agent knows who that person is because they've been de-anonymized. They ask a question, and the question not only elicits a chat-based response because we've got agents sort of doing the blocking and tackling and some of that deference for you on your web properties, but it's sending a signal back into the platform. In this instance, that signal, since it's related to outages, that might trigger a sales engineer or a technical account manager, anyone who's sort of responsible for having that complexion of a technical conversation. They might get a task within Rhythm to go and follow up on that and make sure all of Maria's questions are answered. And in real time, this updates some of the account summary and strategy, not only for sales engineers' personas, but also for the personas of vice presidents of sales who might not care as much in this example about the nuances or specifics of some of the technical questions that are coming through, but might want to be considerate of the fact that we've got new stakeholders or new buyers coming in, right? And now we're back at, well, this is great because we've got a buyer identification agent. Right? We might want to go ahead and write a AI generated email that helps get Maria exactly what she wants so that the customer experience is really cogent here. And so the last thing that I'll show you, and then we can maybe open it up for some questions here. I think it flows really nicely from, okay, we've got count views, we've got real-time signals coming in, we're harmonizing sales and marketing, we're activating all of that implicit data from your web properties in a way that really no one else can. But how else do we serve sales leaders? And I think that today's best revenue technologies, they're not just presenting you with a pretty dashboard, they're really helping you to interpret and drive faster and better data-based decisions. And our analytics interpreter is, I think, my favorite agent of all. You can run an analytics interpreter on any page. So we've got a whole coaching module for frontline managers. You can analyze on that. What you're seeing here is our command center, which is really purpose-built for revenue operations leaders. And then for sales leaders here, we also have a whole analytics hub that's got everything from content performance, which might be great for marketers, or enablement too, all the way to team performance and pipeline generation. So all you do is click the interpret with AI here, and what you're getting is a list of positive insights, negative insights, and prescribed recommendations for how you might want to take this data and drive more action as a leader. Because it doesn't matter how many agents you have, right? If you're not building pipeline and driving deals and moving everything forward faster, using the data and helping you scale those patterns, then we don't really have much of a value prop here. But the good news is that according to Forrester, when you bring this all together, when you are building pipeline, closing those deals, retaining your customers, using agents, AI, and one single platform to do it, you can help improve your retention by up to 12%. And we've got some really exciting stories for those of you in manufacturing, shipping, or logistics. If you've got millions of dormant accounts, we would love to talk to you about how you can deploy some of these strategies to really increase your sales capacity and use some of that signal intent engines to help reinvigorate those relationships and drive repeat transactions. So if you'd like to learn more about our suite of 19 agents and how they're helping people like you, we'd love to talk to you. We offer all of this in one platform. And in my opinion, this helps reduce total cost and of total operating cost rather, and expedite your time to value, unlike anyone else in the market. So I've got a QR code here. This is going to send you over to our demo page. You can go ahead and request more information. But we also have 7 minutes here. And Julia, I'd love to see if there's any questions from the audience that we could close out on.
Phenomenal presentation, Lily. Thank you so much. We have questions. One of them from Tom. How much customization can customers apply to the agents that SalesLoft provides?
It's a great question. So we've got a lot of customization. So one thing that I didn't show you today, it's kind of deep into our backend admin, is you can build your own agent. So that is functionality that you have. So if you have an idea of something that you didn't see today that you think you might want to deploy in our platform, you could do that. I think that's a great use case for taking a picture of this QR code and getting time with one of our sales engineers. Through our Rhythm platform, I mentioned those low code, no code solutions. You can pipe in any data set that you have. And people are really loving the idea of taking data lake information. So whether you have that in Snowflake, sending it into SalesLoft and driving a prescribed series of actions for your sellers. So I think all of that helps to speak to the breadth and depth of how much data you can pull into our platform, which in turn makes our agents more prescribed. The last thing I'll say there, this is a little technical, but I think it's going to provide some really interesting unlock for especially complex and global organizations. This fall, we're launching something called multi-team. So think about it like a parent-child, you can have multiple children, architecture of instances. Why is that really cool? Well, if you have a team who might be using agents fundamentally different, good example of this is in the HCM space, they typically hunt and farm as they're like looking for new payroll customers. The agents might want to be optimized and orient around slightly different metrics and inputs. And so in that instance, we're having really deep, interesting conversations about sort of deploying agents in these two separate child instances that roll up and are managed within one. Your IT team, your security and governance teams, they will love that. You can even have an instance that is housed on European soil, which makes sure that you are fully compliant with GDPR, while potentially stepping into some of these agents a little bit slower overseas than you might in like a North American iteration of that.
Amazing. Next question. We've seen signal based workflows break under pressure. What does it take to make those signals actually reliable?
Good question. So I also saw there was a great post by Frank Perkins at Datadog, and he sort of took a really big jab at signal-based selling. And his whole thesis was like, this is just noise. And when you take all these signals and you just jam them into a workflow for a rep, they will tune out. They will not use it. It's just organizing the noise into one infinite task list. And I think that's why we feel really strongly about the account prioritization agent. Those signals have to nest up under something bigger. And that bigger thing, the way we think about accounts, especially if you were an AE, the way we think about prioritization rather, is accounts. So I think that's one way to do it. The other is using our play builder. So not every signal should inspire something. So I think less is more, starting small, really workshopping with some of our pre-sales teams where to start. But the other thing to consider, and a workshop is a really great opportunity to do this, signals mean different things to different teammates. And our back end allows you to do this. So if I'm an AE and we get one signal, it might mean something very different to me than it does to my CRO, than it does to the SDR, than it does to the sales engineer. So I think central to making signals valuable is really considering one to two to start with to drive that comfortability and flex the muscle. And if there is an opportunity to send different prescribed actions to different reps on an account team, to trying to test with those and then getting some feedback on it. But I also think those signals have to roll to something higher. And that typically, in my opinion, needs to be how do we take signals and drive account based prioritization, not just flat signal based noise.
Lily, that's an interesting question, especially given you're a GTM innovation leader. What's actually being automated today? Are reps really skipping research and call prep entirely?
Like sales reps? Is that the question?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion like around the futurism of AI agents and what's actually possible.
Oh, yeah. So, in short, no. We spend a lot of time with our team analyzing and interpreting what the research agent is kicking up. So, I find that there is not an opportunity for sellers to just go from logging in to sending an email. Here's why. Let's say that everything works perfectly. The research agent does a great job, the buyer intent agent does a great job, the email agent does a great job, and you get a meeting. That terrifies me. And it terrifies our CRO and it terrifies our sales leadership. Why? You need to be able to have a conversation with somebody. You need to be able to speak fluently about everything that you just pitched to this person. That's why I feel really passionately about having human in the loop and making sure that as we use AI to expedite these things, we are still challenging ourselves to learn and understand. We vibe coded this really cool point of view generator, which uh, we're going to put it into our platform, but it not only does the research, but it creates a deck for you that you then can ship out in a cadence. Super cool. If you want it, reach out to me. We can set up some time to maybe demo it to you. But even that, we have a touch point in there where we are asking reps to sit with it for 20 minutes and make sure that you understand it. And in this world of AI and agents, I increasingly find that the human interaction, the time that you can spend ideally in person with people, but if not, the next best is in an interaction like this, a one-on-one meeting, a telephone call. They are becoming more and more important, and with that we need to use AI to quickly bring us up to speed. But I think if you use AI to really augment too much of that buyer and customer experience, they're going to know, and it's not going to be great for them. So my advice is to just really think about highlighting and illuminating all the good things about your team's EQ and good business acumen. Those things are becoming increasingly important. I think with all this AI, there is a real return to the art of sales. The science is is getting faster and better behind, but that art, how we build relationships, how we communicate, how we show up for our customers in person, it's becoming irreplaceable.
Thank you so much, Lily. And last question, we ask this in every single session. As a GTM leader and innovator, what would be your piece of advice for all of our executives watching? How do they transition to this new reality of agentic scaling? Where do they start?
If you do not have an AI council set up, please do that. Please make sure that you have representation from your go-to-market teams. We have found that too often they are siloed over in IT or technical, and a lot of times they are missing an opportunity to accelerate or expedite some of your go-to-market. So I would say work with those broader IT AI councils. You might need a secondary cohort here. We have spun up bi-weekly revenue excellence sessions where we train and enable hands-on keys our team using things like deep research, Gemini models. We love Notebook LM. We have a great partnership with Google and GCP, but we have had to lead from the front, get hands-on keys, write prompts for people, create prompt libraries. It takes a long time. You will have a spectrum of adoption and interest across your organization, but just get started. Just get started is my advice.
Thank you so much again. And we are transitioning to our next session. Erin McReynolds, the co-founder and CEO of Elysia.